Right, back at the video contacts application, we said in the previous video that we're going to look at how to keep a user logged in now, how to reset a password, and then how to log out a user. So let's go to the coding, into Android Studio again, and see what we need to do in order to keep a user logged in. So for this, we're going to go into the login activity. And in the login activity, we'll add some coding just before we get to the buttons to just see whether the user should be logged in or not. Right, so right from the start, when this activity starts, we're going to start showing the progress and set it to true, which means that the progress bar will run and we will see if we can actually log in this guy automatically. So I'm going to go to TV load and set the text as busy authenticating user. Please wait. And now after this, we can now go into the background and then try and see if this person should be logged in or not. So in order to do this, we're going to say backendless.userservice.isValidLogin. And you can see there's just an async callback there. So does this user still have a valid token online? Is he still logged in, or has he logged out somewhere, whether online, on a web page, or wherever? So we're going to say isValidLogin new AS, and that gives you this async task callback again. So now if it goes into handle response, it just means everything went fine, but you still need to test for this Boolean value. If it's true, the user is still authenticated and we can let him in through the app. If it's false, it means that we should go back to the login activity. Right, so I'm going to do the following. If response, now you can say if response equals true, but remember that this is a Boolean variable, so just testing if response is also checking whether it is true or false. So the else part here will be, because if response, if it's true, it means that this user can be logged in, we can take him to the main activity. The else part means that this user cannot be taken to, is not authenticated online, so he cannot be taken to your app, which means we need to have him go through the whole login process again. So we're just going to say show progress and set the progress to false, which will stop the progress from showing and the user will see the login screen and he can log in. But if the response is true, it means that we can take him now to the main activity. So we can just call start activity here and take him to the activity. That's fine. But if you want to get hold of all the user information for this user that's currently logged in, you need to follow the following route. So we're going to say string user object ID equals user ID storage factory dot instance dot get storage dot get. Now you remember when we log in the user here in login, we said that we're going to say set this value to true, which means that the user will stay logged in. So if we do this, that the users can stay logged in, that gets saved somewhere. So what we are essentially getting back here is getting that saved value of the guy that was previously logged in. So this is the ID then of that person that got logged in. So that's the unique object ID. And now with having that unique object ID, we can go into backendless. And now we're using the data service. So it's going to be data.of. Now you need to indicate your table name, and the table name is backendless user, and just add the dot class there. And then you're going to call the method find by ID. You're going to pass in this user object ID to find the user by its ID, and then the second argument will just be going into the background again using this interface, new async task callback or async callback. And you can just end off that with a semicolon. So you'll see then here on this line, we get the user that's currently logged in. Because it's true, we know the user is already authenticated. This is the object ID of the user that has been authenticated. Now we just need to go to that class or to that table called user online. So which table is that? It's this table called users. Although here we refer to it as backendless user. We find by ID this specific ID for the user that was saved, and it goes into the background. And now when we come back, there is your backendless user object. That is the whole user for the user that's currently logged in. all of the columns, everything will be there as that one object. So now you can save this back endless user again to your application class, wherever you wanted to save this user. So for now, in this case, I'm just going to start the activity just to show you that you can get this user and all of its properties. Right, so start activity, new intent again, and we are currently in the login activity. So we're going to say login.this. Second argument, where do we want to go? We want to go to the main activity.class, and that will take the user to the main activity. And then we can go to login.this.finish, which means we're going to close down this activity. In the handle fault part, let's just display a toast there, error fault dot get message, and that gets the message for that fault. Also just remember to stop showing your progress here, so setting it to false. Right, and I see I've missed this handle fault at the bottom, so let's just do this handle fault also. So it's going to be error and then plus fault dot get message, and then we also need to remember to stop showing the progress. Right, so this is how you will keep a user logged in. So there you can see setting the text, busy authenticating the user. You can actually change the text here if you want it. We can say tvload.setText. Let's set this text to user authenticated signing in, something like that. So now the user knows, okay, I've been authenticated, it's busy signing me in, and then as soon as it goes over to the main activity, that's fine. This activity gets finished and the user knows what's going on. Right, so this is keeping a user logged in. So let's run this again, and let me just, I think it will already save my data, saved my data with a previous login, even if I am on the screen now. If it runs now, it should take me to the main activity. So let's see if that happens. So busy authenticating, user authenticated, signing in, and it takes me to the main activity. Okay, so 100%. Now the only problem here is we cannot log out ourselves here. So I think let's do that as the next part. How can we log out a user? So in order to log out a user, let's go to the main activity, because somewhere on the main activity we'll need to do this. So let's go to the main activities XML file also, and I'm just going to go into text and change this constraint layout there to a linear layout, and then just remove that, and let's set the orientation there to be vertical, and let's also set that background color to be the primary light color. Okay, then on here I'm just going to add one button. So just drag a button there. For that button I'm going to set the top margin 30, the end margin 30, the right margin 30, and then, sorry, not right, start 30. And then for the button we'll just say logout, and then let's use the background property there for buttons as well. Go down to the bottom, set the text color to a hash 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and we've got our button there. Right, nicely laid out. On this button, let's just give it a name there, btn logout, just to log out the button or log out the person, and giving it an ID, btn logout. So let's go to main activity and set it up quickly. So it's going to be button btn logout, alt enter for your import. Let's just go there, btn logout setup, and now let's just set this one as the on-click listener, new on-click listener. Right, so now we have this on-click listener, and we can see how to log out a user. So now on the main activity, we do not have that layout like we have in login. So you remember this layout's got this progress bar and the text view, and then this linear layout where we build everything. So on the main activity, we can't call that show progress. So what I'm going to do here is to just show a simple toast. The logout process is quite fast. So we're just going to say something like busy signing you out. Please wait. And now here we can go into the background. So I'm going to say backendless user, sorry, not backendless user, just backendless dot user service dot logout. So you'll see for logout, there's just a logout method that this one is for Android, that one is for Java. So we're going to use this one that basically just accepts that async task callback. So we're going to say new AS, and it opens up for me. So now after this, if it goes into handle response, the user has been signed out and we need to do something. So if the user is then signed out, we can just display a toast there and say user signed out successfully. We can then take the user back to the main activity or the login activity. So it's going to say new intent main activity dot this, take him back to the login screen. So it's going to be login dot class, and then we can close this one. So we're going to say main activity dot this dot finish, and then it's done. In the handle fault part, we need to show a toast there with the error. So it's going to be error plus fault dot get message. And that's all we need to do. If we had the progress here shown, we should have stopped it here also. So let's make this toast there, maybe length dot long there to just show it a bit longer on what's going on. And then by that time, maybe even before this one is done, it will be signed out. So this is how you sign out a user or log out a user by just calling user service.logout. So let's see if this one runs. So to get into the main activity, we should automatically be there right from the start. So if we run this app again, I should come back to the main activity in any case. It will authenticate me again and see if I am still logged in. Right, so there it runs. Busy authenticating. I am authenticated. I'm in the main activity. Now if I click login, logout, it says busy signing you out, please wait. And there I'm signed out successfully, and I'm back at the login screen. Now, if I remove this app now from memory, remove it totally. If I remove this from memory and I run it again, I think it's this one, you can see I'm back at the login screen. If I log in now again, I log in, busy signing you in, please wait. Now I'm logged in. If I remove this now from memory totally, go back and I run the app, it will keep me logged in, busy authenticated, user authenticated. I'm back in the main activity. Right, so this is how to keep a user logged in, how to log out a user. So when I click back now, you can see it takes me back to the phone itself, not to a main activity or whatever. So if I open it up again, it will authenticate me again. Right, so how, if I log out now, let's just go to logout. It's logging me out, and now the last part for this video is to see how we do this last part for getting the password. So if we click there, you will remember on your login activity, we also already set that one up, and that's the TV reset. So how do we reset a user's password? So let's quickly have a look at that functionality. Right, in order to reset the password now, I'm going to use an alert dialog again. So I'm going to say alert dialog.builder, let's just call it dialog, equals new alert dialog.builder. And you just need to pass in the context there, and this is the login activity. So I'm just going to pass in login.this. Now on this dialog, you remember from the permissions video we did, you can set the title and you can set a message and so forth. So I'm just going to set a message here, not the title. You can also add a title there. So I'm going to set the message as reset. Let me just have a nice and long message here. So we'll say, please enter the email address related to the account you want to reset the password for. Let's go to a new line again. Reset link will be sent to the email address. Right, so let's say that's the message. So now the next part is I want to actually show an edit text where the user can type his email address so that this link can be sent to him. So in order to do that, I'm going to do a custom dialog. So let's go to layout, right click, say new layout resource file, and let's call this one dialog view. Let's change this constraint layout to a linear layout and say OK. Right, so now on this design, what I want to do is I want to just drag in one edit text, the email one. So let's drag in an email edit text there. Click on this vertical linear layout, and I'm going to set the height to match or to wrap the content. So on the linear layout that's vertical, set the layout height to wrap content. Now on this edit text, let's just set an all margin there of, let's say, 30. On that edit text also, let's just go and set the hint property to please enter email address. And then let's set the gravity property there to center horizontal. Right, and then just give it an ID. So I'm going to call ET reset mail. Right, let's go back to login. So if I have that layout now, I just need to make a connection to it. So I'm going to say view, let's call it dialog view, equals get the layout inflator dot inflate. And what I want to inflate is the file that's in the layout folder. So I'm going to say r.layout dot, and we called it dialog view. And then the second argument will just be a null value. Now on this dialog, we will just set the view to this dialog view that we just made a connection to. So this line there is making a connection to dialog view, the one with this edit text. We have it, we have an ID for it, so we can set up that edit text now quickly. So I'm going to go to the top and just declare another edit text there, and we called it ET reset mail. Right, let's go back again. Let's set this one up. ET reset mail equals. Now we can't just say find view by ID, because then it's assuming that this layout is on the main or on the login activity. So we need to refer to this view that we just created that's called dialog view. So on dialog view, we will find the view by its ID, and the ID is called ET reset mail. So in this same way that I'm doing it now, you can have buttons and pictures and whatever you want on that custom layout and show that as a dialog. Right, so now we have a hold of this edit text, and let's go and set some buttons. So we're going to say set positive button. Let's say the text on that positive button will be reset. Then new on click listener, and that's the dialog interface. So that's the positive button. Let's go to dialog.set the negative button. You will see this is the same as in the Android permission video. So we're going to say set negative button, and we're going to say cancel there, new on, just select it there. And then the last thing we'll do is to say dialog.show. Right, so when the user clicks on cancel, we don't want to do anything. Remember that reset and cancel, if you do nothing inside of it, will just close the dialog. So we'll leave cancel just as it is, and that one will cancel or just close down the dialog. But if we click on reset, we now want to reset this user's password. So the first thing to check is in this ET reset mail, is there any data in it? So we're going to say getText.toString.isEmpty. If it's empty, we're going to tell the user, please enter an email address. Right, if it is not empty, yes, now we can send this reset instructions. So how do we do that? So again, we can call show progress because it takes a while, a few seconds. So we're going to say show progress is true, and we can use that TV load again. Set text, and set the text busy sending reset instructions to email address. Please wait. Right, and then after this, we can now actually go into the background and send that password reset. So we're going to say back endless dot user service dot restore password. And you can see again there's two. This one is for Java, and that one is for Android. And you can see you can even send out email confirmations again. Okay, so let's go to restore password. What does it need? It needs the identity. That's the email. So we're going to say etresetmail.getText.toString.trim, and the next argument is the async task callback. So new AS, and it will create the rest for you. Right, so now if it goes into handle response, you'll see that's basically nothing that's sent back. So if it goes into handle response, we know that everything is done, password has been sent, so we will stop showing the progress, and we can show a toast to the user that says reset instructions sent to email address. Right, and then if we go into handle fault, we can also stop showing the progress here, but then we'll show a toast also for the user, error plus fault dot get message. Right, and this is how you reset a user's password. So what will happen is that when it runs this part, it will take that email address and see if that user exists. If it doesn't exist, it's going to go into handle fault and you'll see the message. If it exists, it will send out an email to that email address with a link to set the password. Well, there's actually two options. So let's just quickly have a look at the two options. If you quickly go back to the users part on the left-hand side, and you're going to email templates, you will see that there's two templates. User request password recovery, and this one is the one that's green. That's the one that's activated. So this one will just send a new password, and that's that ugly passwords like xz, @ whatever, those that nobody remembers. So the other one is request password recovery by link, and that's the one I like. So I'm going to deselect it there and say save. And then if I go back, you can see both are green, but you can only use one. So I'm going to set the password recovery, that one, the first one, set that one to off and say save. And if I go back now, you can see that it requests password recovery is not going to show, but this one is the one that will be sent to the user. And you can see it will give it a link, and you can still add your own words there and whatever you want to say there. But it will say link to change password, and there's the link. The user click on the link, will be taken to a page where he can enter his password. And after entering the password will be saved into your data or into your table called users under that password field. Right, so we can try that out quickly. Let's just run it in Android Studio now. So run it, and let's have a look at it. Right, so let's have a look at this one quickly. So I'm going to click on forgot password. You can see it pops up that dialog, and it says please enter the email address related to the account. A reset link will be sent, and you're going to type. Let's say I'm type something that doesn't make sense there. It will say busy sending reset instructions, unable to find a user with the specified identity. But if I type my identity there correctly, and I click on reset, you will see reset instructions sent to the email address successfully. So now on the email, I will get a link. I click on that link, I click on save, and it saves my new password. So you can test out that feature. I'm not going to go into my mail and show you that. It works 100%. So please check out this feature. This is resetting. So I think we have done everything. If you look at your login, we have done creating a new user by registering, logging in a user using his email address and his password to successfully log in a user, keep the user logged in, log out the user, as well as sending a password reset. Hope you've learned from this videos. See you in the next one.